Our next honoree in the York County Soccer Hall of Fame is Alex Ramsey Brooks, to be introduced by her parents, and I'll join her as well as Coach Jeffries for the presentation.
Well, I am really honored that Alex asked us to introduce her. Have you ever watched your child live their dream? Have you ever seen her play? What an honor to introduce her. Now, I'm not going to go over that list of things, all those accomplishments that she has in her bio. I would like to mention some of the ones that, as her mother, I watched her take to heart, and it led her to her future. So, in between 7th and 8th grade that summer, the first time she'd made our state ODP team, at the time it was Olympic Development Program. I don't know if it still exists or not. She went there with our best players in the state, and they went and played players from all over the region, 11 states. And she was chosen to play in a rainbow game, which is where they picked players to kind of see, just kind of test them, how they measured up against the great players. She scored a goal and had 2 assists in 15 minutes. And then, when it was time to go home, the rest of her South Carolina team went home, but she stayed. She was a holdover, the only one in her age group from our state, and she played with the best players in our region. Some of them ended up being her roommates in college. Some of them ended up being her best friends that were in her wedding or still her best friends today. Then in 9th grade, she was a holdover again. This time, 2 players from South Carolina were picked. Taylor Parker, I don't know if you're familiar with her or not, but a fabulous Fort Mill player. Her best friend, if you've ever seen them play together, it was something to see. Then, in 10th grade, they didn't have people stay anymore, they just made a list. And she was chosen to go to developmental camp in Pomona, California. Now, a lot of you don't know me, but I was always there with my child. And they sent her to California without me. And she met her coach, Brian Lee, and she ended up committing to play for him at LSU the next year on a full scholarship. As a 7th grader, she played JV at Northwestern and was their MVP. As an 8th grader, she played JV at Rock Hill High, and at 9th grade, she also played at Rock Hill High, and she was their MVP then too. She was chosen to be the poster her senior year at LSU. One of my most proud accomplishments of her is she was the LSU Female Volunteer of the Year. So she took those things that she learned from those Winthrop players that worked with her when she was little, and she went out into the Baton Rouge community and worked with players there, ended up getting that award. I am most proud of the person that she is, the wife and mother, daughter, sister, friend. And now I'm going to hand it over to her father. Thank you for listening to me.
I will be very brief since my daughter told me not to embarrass her. I will say Alex Ramsey is one of the hardest working kids I ever seen. On the field, off the field. And she was a great player. But she wasn't great about taking those stinking cleats out of the car on Sunday night and have to drive to work with them in. But other than that, the 2023 inductee, Alex Ramsey Brooks.
Okay. This is truly such an incredible honor. Thank you to the York County Soccer Hall of Fame Board for voting me, and to whoever it was that nominated me. I really appreciate it. Soccer has grown so much as I've grown, and I know there are many people who deserve this award, and I'm really honored that you all selected me. It's important I start off by thanking my family. I mean, you don't know how much energy it takes to be a parent until you're a parent. And I showed my daughter up there, Josie, a little bit, but thinking about what they did for me is mind-boggling now that I'm a parent, and Josie's only 15 months old, so we haven't even gotten to soccer yet. I can't fathom how my mom taught PE for middle schoolers, then coached track, volleyball, or basketball, and then made sure I got to soccer practice and watch my games as much as she did. My dad worked nights and weekends for a chunk of my career. He would drive me all over for soccer practice, through Valentine and Charlotte traffic, or 2 hours one way to Greenville and back. Then he'd go to work. It's pretty crazy. My grandparents, Grammy, my Nana, and my Poppy, who's here, my sister Madeline, who's not here, and my Aunt Terry, who made sure that I always had fun when we went to our games. I'm exhausted at the end of the day right now and can't even fathom how they did it. So I'm forever grateful and thankful for y'all. Thank you and I love you. So I started soccer with the city of Rock Hill after, let's just say, T-ball didn't work out. As a matter of fact, Joe Rad was my coach at one point with Phil and Matthew, I think. Apparently I would chase after every ball and not let the other kids get it. So they had to put a cone down and ask me to stick with the cone. And then on the next hit, I picked the cone up and ran to get the ball to still beat all the kids. So, yeah, T-ball just wasn't my thing. Not enough running for me. So, thank gosh, I discovered soccer at 5. At age 5, I began to play soccer for teams like Big A Auto, the Civitans, and then Wendy's, which I was reminded of up there in a picture. So at Cherry Park, my first coaches, Kathy Covington and David McCallan, taught me some of the fundamentals, and they gave me memories that I still hold really dear to my heart. I remember them telling me to lift up my bleach blonde bangs, it was super blonde at the time, and point to my forehead, and that's where I was supposed to hit the soccer ball. It was really fun playing and learning the fundamentals at the city of Rock Hill, and I'm forever grateful to the city, to David and Kathy for that time. And in time, I started to get frustrated that there was a 3-goal cap for players, and referees wouldn't count my 4th or 5th goals. So now that I think about it, that's pretty reasonable for other kids. But at the time, I was mad. That's when my family and I discovered Discoveries. The only girls team we could find in Rock Hill was a U14 team coached by Winthrop soccer players Gareth Hayden and Andy Blackadder, 2 little Irish lads. I was 10 and short, but I was up for the tall challenge. And I have reached out to them. They're incredible. But when I think of people who were the most impactful on my soccer career, Gareth, Andy, Discoveries, and Winthrop immediately come to my mind. I learned to use my body against those older 14-year-old girls and the basics of the game that I believe, if not taught at a young age, are just not as fluid when you're older. Touching the ball with my feet, the scissors, the step-overs, coivers, turns, with the inside of your foot, the outside, trapping the ball with all parts of your foot, soul rolls, heading the ball, juggling patterns, all of it. They just inundated me with touches on the ball, with not only my right foot, but of course my left as well. Other Winthrop players, Yancey and Kevin, they helped run a weekly skills training session on Fridays that I loved going to. And we just need to take a second and think. Can you imagine being in college and having to go train little kids on a Friday night? Like, so many other cool things I would want to do. But seriously, it always seemed like they were just as excited as I was to be there on Fridays. And looking back, that time period truly feels like the birth of a Rock Hill soccer explosion. These players, and especially Garrett and Andy, their joy and excitement for soccer really fueled mine. It lit a fuse to my love of the game and a passion for it that really changed the course of my life. I adored my time being on their team and just thought I'd share a few of their kind of quirky things that they taught me, but some really good valuable ones as well. So this one, spray the ball with an imaginary index bottle, wipe it clean, and then you can start to play. I don't know if that was like a little Irish thing or what, but it was quirky. Soccer has a way of bringing people together. It's a universal language, as we can all see here tonight. Never sit on the ball because it's an egg that never hatches. That was a Gareth one. I learned how to take a PK. I learned how you should never stand with your arms crossed when your coach is talking to you. Everything you do with your right foot, you always need to do it with your left. Okay? And then I got the Energizer Bunny nickname from them as well. Weeknights would not have been the same if I wasn't going to watch my coaches play at Winthrop with all of my friends. I really loved cheering them on and memorizing all of the players on the roster's name and where they were from. I mean, they were from all over. It was amazing. So I also love going behind the field where the track now is and playing soccer at halftime. And I never ended up finishing the game because I was out there playing through the end of the game with all the older kids. But I still stream Winthrop games from time to time and reminisce on those memories. In time, it was Melissa Hines who was passed the torch. Some of you might remember her. She continued to expand my knowledge of how to play the magnificent game of soccer. She too was really instrumental into developing my knowledge of movement on and off the ball, and she helped me see the game from an entirely new perspective. I'm really grateful for her as well. I went on to play in Charlotte and play for a coach who was like a dad to our entire team. His name was Craig Jones. He actually ended up coming to watch me play when LSU played at NC State my freshman year. I played in Greenville and I rounded out my career before graduating from high school early back in Charlotte. But before graduating, I thought it was important to give back. So I refereed for the city of Rock Hill and helped on Saturday mornings teach fundamentals to the little kids. It was fun to be out on some of the same fields that I had grown up playing on. I also loved helping to run a couple soccer sessions for Area 11 Special Olympics. Being able to pass on the skills and love for soccer that was given to me is just a small way I hope to continue passing on the legacy of those who've helped shape me. I kind of liken soccer to a wedding. People at a wedding are ones who have helped shape the bride and groom throughout their lives, and they're really from all different eras of their lives. Yet they have all played a pivotal role in shaping who they are. Soccer is just like that. It's a family and it's quite small. So my fellow inductees, Rich, who I've learned your nickname is Gaffer, love it. You coached Gareth and Andy and encouraged your players to give back. Thank you. And Sean, not only did I play volleyball with Carly, but I've enjoyed watching you play at Discoveries, Northwestern. Even when I lived in Louisville, I would watch Charleston play Louisville. Rick Rogers, I don't know if you remember me, but you gave me a few fouls and yellow cards in high school. And what an amazing career you've had officiating. Beth Ballant, you registered me when I started at Discoveries. And how beautiful it is that you've had such an incredible and important job of seeing to it that thousands of players in Rock Hill get to play their favorite sport. Unfortunately, I didn't have the honor of knowing Dan Vastag Sr., but he coached at St. Anne's, which is where I went to elementary school, and he truly was a pioneer of making soccer known in Rock Hill. So I'm honored to get to know all of you tonight, to honor you, and to feel connected in a way with you. And in closing, I'm a little sad to say I didn't get to play in the Women's World Cup this year, which was always a dream of mine. But I'm proud to say that soccer birthed in me a new dream. Without it, I never would have met my husband, Galen, at a soccer tournament in Asheville, North Carolina, and then have my daughter, Josie, who we saw there. She is actually my dream come true, and I guess he is too. but he's watching. Currently, I'm loving teaching special education in elementary school. We live in Corvallis, Oregon, and Galen loves Manchester United. Josie, who's 15 months old, just started walking, so we're going to get a soccer ball at her feet and an Arsenal jersey for her. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for this incredible award, and thanks for your time.